Thanks for joining us. I'm Tammy Resnick, and we're visiting today with Southern California-based professional magician, Joe Skilton.
Hi.
Nice to see you.
Hi. Hello, everybody.
And we're lucky to have Joe on loan to us from the Magic Castle, where he performs regularly.
Good place.
Yes. And Joe is going to show us some close-up magic and tell us a little bit about himself and the art of magic today. So welcome, Joe.
Thank you.
Thank
Pleasure
you
to
for
meet
being
you.
here.
Thought I'd get started with something small.
Great.
You know, a lot of magic, you know, you can be very big and very grand, but I think it's always good to save that for the end. You know, go big. So this is just a small trick, and you don't get any smaller than a dollar bill. But I want you to watch the bill very carefully. I'm going to fold it up and keep your eyes on it. If you can, try to avoid blinking. When I unfold it, that dollar bill is going to turn inside out. That means the border, that's this area of the bill right here, is going to go through the middle, and George Washington goes right in the corners.
Oh my gosh, let me see this.
Let
me see this. I can't believe this.
Take a look, yeah.
I don't get it. I really don't.
Yeah.
I mean, it's cool. It's very cool.
Yeah, it keeps me up at night, actually. Fun fact, you know, obviously cashiers won't take these, but vending machines do.
Really?
Yeah, I know. Is it still a dollar bill?
Should we go try?
We should, maybe after.
Maybe later?
Well,
Okay.
I'll put it back.
Okay.
You know, here's the thing. You never get the chance to see a trick twice. And I think, you know, why not break that rule? So I'll do it again. This time you know what to look for, too. You can keep one on my right hand, one on my left hand, another eye on the bill. That's 3 eyes if you're counting. And we'll do this. Math was never my strong side. No, absolutely not. Here we go. Just a little squeeze, and we're done. And that's my favorite trick with a $1 bill.
Totally cool.
No, you can't see it.
Oh.
No, I'm kidding. Go ahead.
Okay. Okay, it is. Look.
There you go.
It is. Okay, I will give it back to you.
Oh, thank you. Yay, I made a buck.
Okay, so let's start with the obvious. How did you get involved in magic? Why magic?
Well, you know, I started in magic the way a lot of kids do. You know, you're a kid, you're not good at making friends, and you find a book about magic tricks, and it's fascinating. You know, I was really into magic when I was little. And I even did my school talent show when I was in 5th grade. You know, I had about 300, 400 people in the audience, and we did a trick. But I ended up growing out of it like a lot of people do. You know, for most people, magic's a phase. It's something you're interested in as a child, and you grow older and you forget about it. And sure enough, I discovered guitars, which were very cool, and girls, which were cooler. And so magic kind of moved to the past. But when I was in college, I was a poor college student. And I got a book about card tricks that I found fascinating, and that was great for me because the kind of magic that I really like doing, you know, it's sleight of hand based, you know, so you don't need expensive props, you don't need crazy apparatus. These are things that you can do anytime, anywhere with coins, cards, dollar bills, books, you know, even mind reading, which doesn't require anything. So these are things that interest me, yeah.
So, and you're married, right? And you have a son.
I do.
So what does your family think about you being a magician?
They love it, actually. They really do. I'm very, very lucky. You know, my wife, she was always supportive of me from the very beginning. She's a writer, and so she writes novels. And she told me one day, she said, Joe, you know, you remember the Magic Castle, which we'll get to in a minute, but it's this private club in LA. She says, you know, you're friends with some of the top magicians in the world. They do it, so can you. And so sure enough, you know, I quit my day job, and that was about 10, 12 years ago. And it's just been really a fun adventure and a journey. And she even wrote a book. I'll show it to you right here. Yeah.
Let's see. Let's see what she wrote.
She's got a lot of books out, but this one's about magic. It's called Club Deception. You know, and it was I saw it on the shelf over at Barnes & Noble, and I always pick up a copy when I see it around. But it's just you know, seems to be doing pretty well on Amazon and on Audible and all that stuff. But it's a nice book about magic. So not only does she support me, you know, magic's a part of what she does too. So I love it. Yeah.
So Club Deception by Sarah Skilton.
Yeah. My son didn't write this though. You know, he's 6, so he didn't have a part in that. He likes the magic too.
Well, good. Hopefully he'll get more involved as he gets older.
Yeah.
Maybe.
If it's something that he wants to do, I'm all in support of it. If he'd rather play baseball, a sport that I don't enjoy at all, he can go for it. You got to be supportive, right?
True, true. So what's the best part and what's the worst part about being a magician?
Well, you know, the best part about being a magician is probably the interaction with people. You know, the magic that I do is very interactive. Whether I'm on stage at a company meeting or an awards banquet, or I'm just mixing and mingling during a cocktail hour, I'm always about getting the audience involved. So for me, the best thing is the reactions. When people are laughing, when they're clapping, when their eyes are popping out of their heads, and
like I was when I saw you do the trick with the dollar, right?
Exactly. That's what I dig the most. What I like the least, if I'm honest, is probably the travel. You know, I don't do cruise ships. There's some guys who do cruise ships and they're on a boat 6 months out of the year, and I'd never want that. But I do, you know, I do travel. You know, companies will hire me to go to their trade shows or go to a sales meeting or a retreat, and I have to get on a plane and go somewhere. So I do miss my family a lot. But luckily, living in Southern California, there are so many things going on here. I'm not on the road as much as I would be if I lived in, say, a smaller city.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. You know? So I think you told me that you do over 100 shows a year, right?
Yeah,
and those aren't all at the Magic Castle. So tell me about what you do.
Yeah, well, you know, you raise a good point, because a lot of people, when they hear that you perform at the Magic Castle, at least in California, and I should probably say this for the people at home, you know, for those of you who don't know, Magic Castle is a private club in Los Angeles. We bring in the greatest magicians from all over the world. And so the thing with that is that they always want to bring in new people. We don't want the same shows all the time. So a magician at the Magic Castle, if they're lucky enough to be hired by the venue to perform, where they're actually paid to be in the showrooms, you're only going to work there about 1 or 2 weeks a year.
Oh,
you know, that's about it. You know, and frankly, the pay isn't that great, so I'm fine with that too. But you know, you do your shows there. Most of my shows are out and about. I will go to somewhere. I don't have a ticketed show. I don't have tickets available where I'm doing a show in a set location. So whether somebody's having a private function, you know, or they're having you know, a banquet or something like that, wherever they need me to go, I can go. So speaking of the castle, I'll show you a trick that I used to do over there. Not so much anymore, but I did it for a long time. Would you like to see it?
Yes, absolutely.
Well, you know, at the castle, they do a lot of card tricks. A lot of magicians doing card tricks. So I figure if you're going to do card tricks, you may as well do card tricks that nobody has seen. And nobody has seen these before. These are blank cards. They go through the whole printing process with the exception of the ink portion. I'll give you one. And take this pen and just write your name right on across.
Okay. Nothing else, just my first name.
Just your first name is fine. You can tap that pen when you're done. I'll show everybody the card. This card here says Tammy. That is her handwriting. I want everybody to focus in on that. Make sure you see that. And this is the only one written exactly this way. I mean, this is a unique card.
That is correct.
So here's the basic idea, and I'll show you what happens.
Okay.
Very simple. We're going to take your card, and I'm going to put it about halfway down. We'll place it about right in so here. When I snap my fingers, that's the moment your card comes right back on up to the top. It keeps me up at night. Well, here, cool. I'll show you. We'll do it up here. I want you to see. Look, it doesn't matter. Front or back is irrelevant, right? And that really is going in there. Okay. You can see it really does come back on up there, and that really is your card.
Get out of here.
It's kind of cool, right? You want to know how it works?
I do, but I know you.
I have extra Tammy cards.
Oh.
Yeah, I keep one in my pocket right over here. It says Tammy in your handwriting right there. That's the Tammy card. Okay, that doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. I'd have to have like 1 million of those for that to work, like or at least 2, you know, at least. But a couple. I tell you what, here, take a look at that card. Make sure that doesn't rub off, doesn't come off, anything like that. That's all good?
No, it's all, it's
here,
on there.
I tell you what, we'll try it this way.
Okay.
Watch your name very, very slowly. We're just going to go ahead and give it a little rub. We'll take the ink right off. I'll put it back in the pen. That's recycling. Here, hold the pen. Hold it out. Hold it out.
Sorry.
Don't move. No, it's okay. This is perfect. Look, nothing here, and there's nothing over here, right? Look. I'm going to take this side. Watch.
Okay.
You're back.
That is amazing.
I know.
I don't get it. I stood here and I watched you, you know, with a blank card here, put the cards in there, and I still can't figure it out.
Well, you know,
I'm going to have to read some books.
Yeah, exactly.
We've done 2 tricks now.
Yeah.
Has there ever been a trick that has gone wrong?
Ooh,
that didn't turn out?
Gone wrong. Thankfully, I can honestly say that that's very rare. I think the time for tricks to go wrong is in rehearsal when you're practicing. You know, then it can go wrong as much as you want. Every now, you know, anybody who says they've never had a trick go wrong is lying. There's so many variables with people that sometimes things just aren't going to work out. But I think if an audience likes you as a performer, they're willing to forgive a multitude of sins. You know, and I don't think I've had a trick go wrong in the last number of years, but but I'm sure I have. You know, I've learned the hard way, don't give the cards to somebody else to shuffle, even if they ask, because they will bring you sometimes they go on the floor, and then, well, this is going to be a fun 5 minutes. You know, no one wants to see 52 card pickup.
No, problem. I'm sure you don't. So how do you learn, like, where do you find new tricks? How do you learn new tricks? Where do they come from?
There's a lot of places to learn new tricks from. The place I recommend against is YouTube. You know, no, seriously, you know, the great thing about YouTube and social media is that it allows everybody to have a voice. The bad thing about it is there's no filter. So there's a lot of junk out there. You know, I recommend books. There are magic books out there. You can find them. Preferably books like Royal Road to Card Magic, which was published in the early 20th century. It's a fantastic book. It's a great book to read. The old texts, the stuff that fooled people back in the 1930s is still the same principles that will work today. Now, it's outdated. You have to change your scripting and you have to modernize it. But you know, the principles of misdirection are the same as they've always been. The human mind has not changed over 100 years. We still think in the same ways, and we still have the same limitations cognitively. So I recommend old tricks. I get excited when I find old magic books. You know, I get to read, and hopefully, if I can find just one good idea that I can use, that's a win for me.
And then and what about practicing new tricks? So when you're learning a new magic trick, how, like, at what point in time, how long do you practice it, or when do you practice it on the public for the first time? Take it public.
It depends on the effect. It depends on what I'm doing. Some things I can learn in a matter of weeks, and I have it down, and I'm happy. Other things have taken me years and years. You know, I was talking with a magician the other day who told me that it only takes him an hour or two to learn a trick, and I thought, you're not doing it right. You know, it's one thing to know how a plane flies. It's another thing to know how to fly the plane.
Yeah,
those are different things.
Yes.
And so I think if you take your job seriously, whether it's you know, playing basketball or doing someone's taxes or flying a plane, whatever it is, you know, you owe it to yourself and your clients to do the best job you can.
We're doing close-up magic.
Right.
And you also do strolling magic and also mentalism. Can you tell us about a little bit more about all three of those?
Sure. Well, you know, I try to tailor all of my performances to fit the venue that I'm in and the audience I'm with. You know, the kind of magic that you're going to do for 20 people in a small environment isn't the same kind of magic you do for 800 people. You know, so it's all about making sure that things are the right fit. So a common scenario that I get hired in is for a cocktail hour or a reception where I'm mixing and mingling with guests and I'm doing magic for small groups of people at a time. That's kind of close-up, or what they would call strolling close-up. Close-up shows would be something more formal, but again, for an intimate group. When I do large audiences, you know, hundreds of people, or I'm in a big theater somewhere, for that, you know, you have two choices you can do. You can do illusions, which are the big things you think of David Copperfield, right? The floating car, the tiger, cutting a lady in half, you know, which is all great. Or you can do mentalism. Now, I've chosen to do mentalism because as much as I respect illusions, there's a lot of issues with that. You've got expenses, there are very expensive shows, staging requirements, all of this. And for me, I like to have that connection with the audience. You know, my favorite thing about magic, like I said, is the connection with people. And mentalism is all about connection. You know, you're getting into people's heads, and you're doing it in a fun, hilarious, interactive way that really gets people involved. And so mentalism is something that I enjoy. In fact, I'll give you an example of it if you'd like to, like to see.
I'll put this card down and
Sure. No problem. We'll do this.
Okay.
Kind of a card trick, but sort of mentalism related. And I'll give these a bit of a shuffle just in case. I'd like you to give the cards a cut, okay? So cut, you can just make it a straight cut on the table, kind of a boom, boom, boom.
Okay.
There we go. Perfect.
And I'm supposed to do that, or are you doing it?
No, it's fine.
Okay.
And I'd like you to take off a very small number. Very small. In fact, you know, pick them up in your hand. You can just pick them up. Yeah, just a small number. Perfect. And I want you to just shuffle those up. Just mix those up. So here's the idea with this. You've got a whole bunch of cards, and what I want you to do is pick them up and spread them out like you're playing a game of cards, okay? And you just look at them, and I won't look.
Okay.
So this would be an example of mentalism, okay? And before we do this, I should probably explain. Sleight of hand is different than mentalism. This is sleight of hand. Take a 10 of clubs, rub it on your sleeve, and you change it into a jack of hearts. That's sleight of hand.
Oh my God.
Right? Mentalism is different. So look at those cards.
Okay.
I'm not going to even be looking over that. I want you to look over all of those faces.
Okay.
Do you see a 5 of diamonds in there?
Yes.
Can you just put it in my hand, just a 5 of diamonds, and I'll hold it up
Face
for the
up
camera.
or face down?
Face up would be great. And I'll just turn that so the camera can see. And can you also, right near the 7, there's a 7 of clubs. You can take out a 7 of clubs and put that there. And then near the 7, is there a 4?
Yes.
Yeah, 4 hearts. You can put the 4 hearts down. There's a king of hearts too. You can put down a king of hearts. How many cards do you have left?
I have 3.
Okay, get rid of the 4 of diamonds. And I want you to just pick one of those cards, the one that's left in your hand, any one of them you want. You got it? You thinking of it? Okay, and put your hands on top so I don't see, and I'm going to come around. Yeah, this is fine.
Okay.
So just think of your...
Okay.
This is interesting. Okay, this is going to sound weird. It's almost like you looked at the jack of clubs, and you thought of the jack, and then you went over to the 10 of diamonds, and you switched. It's almost like you switched there for a second. Yes? Yes, be honest. Be honest for the camera.
Switched.
No, not like you changed your mind formally, but you looked over both and then you went ahead.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is so crazy. But it's not the 10, is it?
Mm-hmm.
Good. Good. You can give me the 10. Yeah. And that was your 1?
Yes.
Jack of clubs. Show the camera.
There you go.
There you go. So that would be an example of that.
Is there a bucket list? Are there places or venues that you haven't performed at yet that you want to perform at?
Oh, wow. Yeah, I mean, sure. There's, I'm in an interesting position because I go where I'm needed. People hire me, and if they need me in Boise, Idaho, I will go to Boise, Idaho, But there's lots of places I'd love to perform. I'd love to do a show in Edinburgh, in Scotland. I've never been to Scotland. I would love to go there. They've got a fringe festival over there that's really amazing. I'd love to go back to Japan. My wife has a friend who lives in Switzerland, which is beautiful, and I've never performed over there. That would be great. The vast majority of the shows that I do are in LA and in the US in general, But amazingly enough, I've actually never performed in New York City, which I know, crazy, but I haven't. Been to Chicago more times than I can count, though. So there's a lot of places to go. A lot of people tell me that they think I should go in Vegas. It's like a common thing. When people like your magic, they go, oh, you should be in Las Vegas. And I have no desire to perform there. I like going there for like 2 days. Go there, have some fun, and then by day 3, I am done. I'm ready to go home.
Ready to come back home.
Like living out there for weeks on end. I have a friend who's doing the Masters of Illusion show over at Bally's right now over there. And it's a great show. If you're in Vegas, check out Masters of Illusion at Bally's. It's terrific. And I had met him prior. We both did the TV show, the Masters of Illusion TV show. And
you've been on Masters of Illusion?
I have been on Masters of Illusion. That was
I'm going to have to go
Google it.
Dare I say YouTube it? Or
yeah. I know, right? Yeah. Not all YouTube is bad. No. Yeah, but Vegas, there's so many, different magicians in Vegas. There's some great shows. I mean, Penn and Teller are great. David Copperfield's at the MGM Grand. If you want to see Copperfield do amazing things, that's great. Those are some really great shows. I'd say my favorite magicians probably aren't in Vegas, though. And, I respect those guys very much, but my favorite magicians are probably a guy named Derek Delgadio. He's in New York right now. He is an Angelino, but he's in New York doing a show called In and of Itself. It's been extended multiple times. It's directed by Frank Oz, and it's just an amazing show. It's really an experience. And there's a guy in England named Darren Brown. And Darren just got a deal on Netflix to do a couple specials. And he'd just been performing in New York as well. But he's a household name in England. Everyone knows who he is in England. He's a mentalist. He does that kind of mental stuff that I think is great for really large audiences.
Throughout our conversation, I can tell you really respect the history of magic. And so what do you think is the future of magic? What do you see as the future of magic?
Ooh, that's a good question. Future of magic. I think to understand the future of magic, you really have to understand the past of it. We're standing in front of, this is Carter the Great, and he was a household name. He did shows all over the world. In fact, he toured Europe and he went all over. there were some really brilliant magicians named Thurston and Houdini and all of these guys. And you look at the shows that they did, and these were big, extravagant productions. And then when vaudeville went away and all these things went down, magicians became more like nightclub performers. You know, they were doing more jokes, more funny stuff, and it became more of a wink and a nod as opposed to sincere and grand. And now, you know, looking at the 21st century, I mean, you can't deny the influence of guys like David Blaine. You know, you see, I think there's a real push for magic to reintroduce a sense of wonder to people. So when I think about the future of magic, I think that it's going to be more interactive. I think the future of magic is going to be more adult. I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean it's just going to be more intelligently presented.
Okay, I get it.
And I think that you're going to probably see a lot more mentalism, because the magic of the mind really is, I think, the final kind of frontier of that. Also, though, I think you're going to see a lot more women in magic. Magic, unfortunately, has almost always been a boys' club. And that's one of the things my wife's book is about, actually, is about how there's really not many women in magic. And why is that? And, you know, I'm very happy to say that at the Magic Castle, we've got a whole new generation of magicians coming up. These are people in their early 20s, and I'm seeing a lot of women there. And they know how to handle a deck of cards, and they know how to do magic. And I think that's fantastic. And I hope it's a trend that continues. I think that we're going to get more authenticity, and I think we're going to have a better representation of the real world.
Thank you so much for coming here.
Sure.
Do you have one last trick you could share with me?
Sure. You got time for a quick story?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. We'll do this. This is yeah, I'll get rid of the box here. So this is something that means a lot to me. You know, I became a full-time magician about 10 years ago, but I've been interested in magic on and off my entire life. And when I moved out to Los Angeles, I met a magician by the name of Dean Dill. He was a barber in Glendale, California. He cut hair. But he was world-renowned among magicians. They all knew who he was. They all respected him. And you go there to get your hair cut, and on any given day, a famous magician could walk through the door and talk with him and stuff. People, whenever they came to LA, they'd make sure to stop by Dean's shop. And Dean used to give magic lessons to Johnny Carson. You know, he taught David Copperfield a trick he did on his special. And one time, Dean showed a trick to me that amazed me so much that it became an obsession. And I'll show it to you.
Please.
So, basic idea, shuffle deck of cards. He had me shuffle it, and he had me name any card. So I'd like you right now to name any card.
Name any card. Okay. 9 of diamonds.
9 of diamonds. Now let me ask you this real quick. Do you want to change your mind?
Nope.
Okay. Now keep in mind, before we continue too, and I want to be very clear on this, we didn't arrange anything.
Nope.
We didn't talk about anything or
No, we
anything
didn't.
like that. No, so this is fine. So
This is the first time we're doing this.
This is the first time we're doing it. Here's what happened. Dean would shuffle the cards. He would have you name any card you wanted to, any card at all, and then he would cut the cards. And when he cut the cards, he would cut exactly to that 9 of diamonds. 1 cut here, 1 cut here, and he was done. Pretty cool, huh?
Yeah.
Let's see how we did. Well, that would have been good, though, huh? That would have been nice.
Yeah.
I tell you what, Dean never taught me how that trick worked.
Okay.
No, I should point out, he never taught. It became an obsession. Like I said, I said, Dean, how'd you do the trick where you snap your fingers and the 9 came to the top? He said, Joe, I can't tell you. I said, okay. Came back the next time. I said, Dean, got my hair cut. How'd you do the trick? You snap your fingers, the 9 of diamonds. How'd you do it? He said, Joe, I can't tell you. So, I let it go after a while. I didn't want to ask him. And a couple years ago, unfortunately, Dean passed away.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a pretty big hit. It was rather, the whole magic community really missed him. I missed the closest thing I had to a teacher, and a lot of people missed a very good friend. And so I realized if I ever wanted to do his trick, I'd kind of have to create my own version of it. You know what I mean? And I'll be honest with you right now, I have no idea exactly where that 9 of diamonds is. It's around here somewhere, but I don't know. So here's my way of doing it.
Okay.
Little tribute to Dean. Nine of diamonds?
9 of diamonds. That's cool.
Yeah. This
has all been wonderful.
Thank you very, very much. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. I will, never figure out how you did all these tricks, but I'm blown away and I love them. So
this one took me 5 years, so yeah, it took a while.
But thank you everyone for tuning in, and we'll see you next time with The Art of Magic.